Just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich. This is the back cover of my Nexus 4, by the way, in case you care.
Is that from a phone down under?
There are the internal antenna patches and wireless charging thing.
And what have you?
And what have you. Yeah.
Well, we are live on the air.
This is something I would separate the layers of and try to replace the glass on, but I wouldn't try to do it from a digitizer.
So, no, but the backside, big deal.
Exactly. Hey, internets. How the heck are ya?
Nice use of colorful speech.
Let me see. I could turn on the Q&A here and see if anybody ever responds.
No, I don't have anything yet.
No, nothing yet, although Brylang is not far away from commenting.
Yeah. Brylang is never far away from commenting. Okay. You kick off the show, but let me start with some entry music and hit a record button.
Hey, play that music there, white boy, and I will kick it off.
Is it funky?
Play that funky music, white boy.
Okay, off we go.
Oh, hey, and welcome to Caching in the Northwest. This is the only podcast dedicated to geocaching in the great Pacific Northwest. Tonight, hey, let's talk about caches and caches unique to this little corner of the country. So, once you're out of pine cones and apples, climb down out of that tree. It's time to go caching in the Northwest.
That's right, and it's time to bring in our tree climbing monkey. Oh, wait, Land Monkey is in police custody this evening, I believe. But I could be wrong. Who knows? Even without our Canadian counterpart, we have a great show for you tonight. Now, if you're puzzled about what we're going to talk about tonight, then you're the right person in the right place. Yes, we're going to talk about a puzzling topic, puzzle caches.
I love puzzle caches. You know I do. I can't say I'm really, really good at them, but I enjoy them.
There you go. And we've got lively Q&A, even this early on in the show. And yes, B Pendragon, you found out there is no Land Monkey tonight.
Not tonight.
He's planning to get released and come on the show next week.
Yes, he's out of the tree and we'll be here shortly. Maybe a week from now.
Is feeling Eastery. Not Easterly.
Easterly. No, that would be G-Slink who's feeling Easterly because he's in the Eastern time zone of the U.S.
And he is here.
He is, and welcome.
He's never allowed to come back on the show. Sorry, he called my dancing lame, and that's all you get. Sorry, you get one shot.
Okay, I won't say anything.
Sometimes the truth hurts. You should see what I'm doing below the waist. It would really make the dance moves look better.
I don't want to see what you're doing below the waist. Thank you very much for hiding that from the camera viewpoint.
Okay. Huh.
Bring us back on topic here.
You know what?
What?
Before we get going,
yes,
let's get glowing.
Let's get glowing.
Our beloved Northwesterners, we want to hear about your favorite geocaching logs. We're calling the segment Glow or the Geocache Log of the Week.
Oh, good.
You write great logs? Maybe it's one you've read while looking for a clue to that tough cache hide. Whether it's yours or not, we want to hear about it. Send an email to feedback@cachingandw.com. Better yet, call into 253-693-TFTC or use the voicemail tool on the website to show us how you glow.
Please do contribute. And what website would that be, Bad Cop?
Well, of course, that's what were we talking about? That is cachingandw.com.
Yes, of course.
The only website for geocachers in the Great Pacific Northwest.
Right. That's right. And tonight we have a glow, a geocaching log of the week. And it is, well, I have gone on and on and on. Longtime listeners to the podcast will know one of, if not the most favorited cache by Wits End here Yes, Control the Night, GC65W9V, Whiskey Niner Victor. This
Is it because it
log,
runs on 9 volts?
yeah, exactly. Western 9 volts, West 9 volts. This is a log for that very cache. It's a log by Minstrel, shall we say? Or Minstrale, if you're Italian, or if you're Canadian, it's Minstrale. But Minstrel, let's just say as American, logged a find for Control the Night, and he writes, he or she, I shouldn't assume. So, what do you write in the logbook of an enchanting 6-stage multi such as this? Very simply, didn't want it to end. Okay, there is more. He wrote more than that, but didn't want to, and I can relate because I've done this cache, well, twice because it was archived and reestablished, and I've done it 3 times because I took some friends back to do it. So I really enjoy this cache. He says, didn't want it to end. He says, I'd planned to visit with my diminutive Apple TV remote, but instead wore the one provided around my shoulders as I darted through the trees beneath a full snow moon, all the while keeping to a single thought, I can't wait to bring the family and friends about here. Each twinkling light and silver tag sent me up, down, and around to the final, all too soon. No, I thought, I don't want it to be over. And, I can relate. Mm-hmm. And his comment there to a remote is the fact that this cache is done with infrared signals. So if you've not done it, or if you've not heard me talk about it, where have you been? Go back and listen to an old episode. I've gushed about this cache. But it's here in Tacoma. It has to do with infrared remotes, and it's a great, great, great night cache. I continue with his log. He says, but there I was, standing before the birdhouse. Side note, again, that's the final stage, trigger something from the birdhouse. He says, I triggered the remote and waited for something to happen, but nothing seemed to. All of a sudden, I was that young student Bruce Lee slaps upside the head and Enter the Dragon as he explains, it's like a finger pointing to the moon. Do not concentrate on the finger, or you will miss all of the heaven and glory. So off in the distance I gazed. Oh, just beautiful. He says, thanks for all the work you guys put into assembling and maintaining this Twilight adventure. I loved every minute of it. And I know what you're thinking. Yes, after signing the log, I headed back to the birdhouse just to watch the laser a couple more times. Better believe I did. And I can relate. When I've taken friends there, they have also thoroughly enjoyed this cache. It's a well-engineered, well-deployed, and really well-done cache all the way around. If you're in Tacoma, you got to go do this cache. It's one of the must-see nighttime caches here in town.
Definitely, and you have to do it at night.
Oh yeah. It is a night cache. I suppose there's a way to do it in the daytime, but
you're going to have to be good.
Yeah, and don't bother because half the fun is doing it at night. So
exactly.
All the fun is doing it at night. I don't know.
Yeah. If you're in the area, let us know. We'll go do it again, just because we like it that much.
I would actually. I took some friends there a couple months ago. The cache was actually disabled at the time because somebody had tampered with a couple of the waypoints. But Bad Cop and I, we took a group there because we knew where the waypoints were, helped them through the disabled or the what do you call them? Damaged or vandalized waypoints, and it got through to the rest. And I still enjoyed it. I knew what was coming, and I enjoyed it. So it's a great, great cache.
That's a lot of fun. Now, I have to ask you, have you ever grabbed a geocache, signed it, but were unable to put it back because people came around, muggles were there? It's been quite embarrassing. You have to wait.
Yes.
Yeah. I've done that on a couple of light pole caches. Somebody's came and parked at that light pole, and I'm like, oh, stink. Come on, get out of the car. Why are you just sitting in the car? Who goes to a parking lot and sits in a car?
Your cache.
Yeah. Well, something like that just happened this week right here in Seattle. Now, it may not have been a geocache, but it was an interesting situation. Yeah. Perhaps you've followed the hashtag man in tree. Yes, I believe he may have been a geocacher.
You never know.
See, a man made national headlines for climbing an 80-foot sequoia tree in downtown Seattle around 11 a.m. on March 22nd and scaling down just before noon on March 23rd. Yes, he was in the tree 25 hours. The incident became quite the spectacle, but ended peacefully. Or spectacle, I should say.
Spectacle. Wow.
Spectacle. Sorry, I was thinking spectacle-y.
Spectacle.
You know, it was one of these things. There was a live feed on Man in Tree for nearly the entire 25 hours. There were several people who spent, I don't know how many hours of their days just watching him in the tree. So, of course, you know, Seattle has to overreact. That's what we do.
Oh, yeah.
And they shut down streets around the tree because, well, there's a man in a tree.
Mm-hmm.
So the Seattle Times reports that the man had a short mental health evaluation. He was booked into the King County Jail. A judge will determine if the man can be held on misdemeanor charge of malicious mischief. Now, when he was up there, one of the reasons they didn't take him down right away is he was defiant. Is that a good term?
Yeah, I think you could classify him as defiant.
G-Slink says, spectacle. It's a shiny fishing lure.
That's right. That's right.
He was throwing apples and pine cones at police and passerbys. In fact, one officer... What?
And then he ran out of apples and pine cones.
That's when he had to come down. Yeah. One officer was injured during the long standoff. The officer's ear was cut by a pine cone. The guy had good aim.
Hate when that happens.
It's one of those things that, like, really? How can a man in a tree? It was just one of those odd things.
Yeah. So, it was really pretty impressive, the way that social media exploded around this guy. That was one of the biggest things that was so enjoyable about it was the commentary, the puns, the tweets. You know, obviously, if the man has a serious mental health condition, we all hope that he gets the help he needs to live a happy and productive life and go find geocaches. But you know, it was a news story and it was an event and it was history. And if you're in Seattle, if you're in this area and this year, you will always look back and, hey, remember Man in Tree? It's right up there with Man with Sword.
Yeah.
If you've been a long-time Seattle area resident, you know exactly who Man with Sword was. And one of my favorite tweets of the whole thing was, "Your move, Portland."
We have Man in Tree. Three Ham says Man in Tree was being covered on the morning talk radio in Vancouver.
He was being covered everywhere. The local news reporters, there was a continuous 24-hour live stream of him with the cameraman and news anchor chatting about what was coming up and when the next news drop-in was. And, oh, hey, coming up at 10:30, we have a news drop-in with a television station in Kentucky, and we have this coming up with CNN. He made nationwide news, and it's, well, kind of a sad commentary, if you ask me, on the same day, very sad news with a terrorist attack in Brussels, Belgium, that Seattle was far more interested in a man in a tree.
Yeah, that is interesting. IHAM says, PEMCO profile number 404, Man in Tree. You're a little different.
We had the same thought, yeah.
I actually retweeted that. Somebody put that out there. I was like, oh, that's hilarious. And if you're in the area, you know the PEMCO commercials.
Yeah, it's established humorous advertising campaign that fit right in with that. The other one I liked was the tweet that you found with side-by-side profiles of the man in the tree and Yukon Cornelius from the old cartoon Rudolph Christmas cartoon, if you know that.
And they looked very similar.
They really did, yeah. Somebody even said on Twitter, news reports man with beard and plaid shirt in tree in Seattle, and everybody in Seattle thinks it's their neighbor. Because, well, that describes half the residents in the Great Pacific Northwest.
Exactly. So it was an interesting story. You know, I'm glad he's down and he's getting help. I kind of wish he'd still been up the tree during the podcast. Just
yeah.
But He's down.
It was a long time to stay up there.
It was. It was. At one point, he hung upside down from his knees like on a jungle gym, 80 feet in the air.
He hung upside down. He
took a nap.
Yeah, he took a nap up there. He made a little nest. Unfortunately, he stripped the tree bare of several branches and did some damage to the tree, although I think the tree will survive okay. Hurled pine cones, hurled apples, hurled lots of profanities from what I've told. And I was watching the live stream. Yes, I was one of the people watching the live feed as the cameraman decided to zoom out when he stood up to relieve himself. Thank you very much, Como new cameraman. Didn't need to watch that live stream. But it was something to remember, to commit to memory. It was a milestone in Seattle history. It's something that, well, I'm sure lots of people will talk about for many years to come. And even geocaching.com got caught up in the man and tree story. Oh, excuse me, hashtag man and tree story. If you follow the geocaching.com blog, there's a post there that says some climbing caches are more accessible than others. Those that require ropes, harnesses, and other gear can be fantastic, but may be beyond the reach of non-technical climbers. However, geocaches in trees are often suitable for a wide variety of ages and abilities. So what makes for a great tree climbing geocache experience? And we have no way of knowing whether this man was a geocacher or not, and whether there was a geocache at the top of the 80-foot sequoia near downtown Seattle Macy's. I kind of doubt it, but you never know. They ask what makes for a great tree climbing experience. Well, the right tree, of course. And I have to say, this 80-foot sequoia will forever be burned into my memory as a memorable tree.
And apparently it was the right tree to climb.
It was, yeah. The tree needs to be sturdy enough for an adult to climb. Okay, this one qualifies.
Check.
Yeah, check. The blog says if the limbs are too thin, it can be hazardous for the geocacher and the tree. And it says parenthetically here, never damage a tree or other wildlife while attempting to find a geocache. So that's our safety tip of the podcast. And apparently,
thanks, Egon.
Yeah, Mr. Hashtag Man and Tree did not heed that advice because he did cause damage to said tree. What else do you need? Well, you need the right equipment. Even if you don't need ropes or harnesses, you must wear the correct footwear and other apparel. Easter coming. The other apparel, flip-flops, are a no-no. Now, Man and Tree did have, I think, appropriate footwear.
Mm-hmm.
The boots on, it looked like, from what I saw, was not wearing flip-flops, was wearing the appropriate NorthWest plaid. Hello. And, well, we call it a beanie. Some people call it a toque, but he was wearing a hat to keep warm because it gets quite breezy and windy at 80 feet up. However, I have to say that I don't think he was completely clothed in the proper apparel for said tree climb, at least not to spend 25 hours 80 foot in the air in downtown Seattle. Just saying. The last thing, of course, the blog post says you need is the right day. There's a right day to climb a tree. Don't attempt to climb in wet, icy, or otherwise dangerous conditions. And, well, any condition where the police and fire department are called out is probably something I would consider a dangerous condition. And be sure to bring a friend. Now, this is another rule that apparently Man and Tree broke because I never saw any friends, at least not that stepped up to the cameras to talk about it.
But there were many friends around there rooting for Man and Tree.
It says not just to keep an eye on you, but to take great pictures. And, well, go search social media. There are thousands of pictures of Man and Tree.
Along with Man with Goat.
Yes. Man and Goat. Goat that's named Deer, by the way.
Deer the Goat.
Deer the Goat.
That's the Twitter handle, @Deer the Goat.
Yes. Oh, and Twitter handle. Speaking of Twitter handle, there was, of course, somebody that created the Twitter account for Man and Tree that was quite entertaining.
And I told you to do that.
You did.
You could have jumped in on that.
Our local ABC news station that covered a lot of the news stream actually registered manandtree.com, if I'm not mistaken, and pointed it to their live stream. So it's really amazing what a guy climbing a tree. I got to say, I've climbed lots of trees myself. I've never had law enforcement and rescue personnel and television media crews show up to cover the event. Apparently, I've been doing it wrong.
You've been doing it wrong. Die Monkey says, Man and Tree was the big talk at our school because the 6th and 9th graders were in Seattle on a field trip and got to watch it from the Westlake food court.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he was up there quite a ways. I think about the 6th story of Macy's, people were looking at the windows and were even with him at about 80 foot up in that sequoia. So that was impressive. I've climbed quite a ways up a tree. I'm not sure. In fact, I'm fairly confident I've never climbed 80 foot up a tree. That was quite impressive. Yeah. You know, what makes a man climb a tree in downtown Seattle? I don't know. I'm puzzled over the whole thing. And speaking of puzzles, tonight we're talking about puzzles as they relate to geocaches, not as they relate to disturbed individuals climbing trees in Seattle. Okay.
Oh, I love it. Now, puzzles may come in all different styles. Maybe you have to perform a task. There's something to decrypt, a conversion of some sort, maybe an art project in order to draw a set of coordinates. So make sure you have plenty of office supplies about, paper, pencils, scissors, even tape.
Apples,
pine cones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now, when you start working on puzzles, when you start solving them, you get going on it, begin with the easy ones.
Yeah. Well, and it's a lot like climbing trees. You start with the easy trees and you work up to the 80-foot sequoias. You don't just jump into that like Man and Tree. I mean, he did that wrong. So, that sounds like common sense. Start easy, but it goes without saying that you do that for puzzles, for tree climbing, for any kind of thing that you're learning to do. Because if you start with a difficult puzzle, it can taint you from ever trying a puzzle again. If you start with a difficult tree, you may never want to climb a tree again. So where do we begin with puzzles? Well, if you look,
wear appropriate clothing.
There you go. Bring lots of apples.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. It's the Northwest. We grow apples here. However, for puzzles on a geocaching page, look at everything on that geocaching page. Be on the lookout for breadcrumbs left by the cache owner. Sometimes puzzles have a theme that you need to discover. Remember your goal. Usually the solution to a puzzle is, coordinates. We are geocachers and we find geocaches based on a latitude and longitude. So it's often a set of numbers, 14, 15 numbers, sometimes only 10, sometimes 6. Because sometimes you look at that cache description and they'll give you the first set of numbers. You just have to fill in the last 3 of each or 6 of each, whatever. Look and see what you need. That sometimes helps you narrow down how to solve it. Look for hidden text, hidden hints on the cache page, or, nerd alert, in the source code of the page. I can't tell you how many puzzle caches that I've solved by just looking at the source code of the cache page. It's there. And whether you know how to create source code or not, you can right click or look at a menu on most web browsers nowadays and say view source and see all the code that makes up that HTML page, that web page. You don't even have to know much about HTML code or web code. But if you look at it, it may look like, total Greek to you. Do a search for maybe the latitude or longitude number of where you currently are, and you'll probably find something if that's the way they've chosen to scramble that. Images. There are ways to hide data, numbers inside an image or the properties of an image. If you've watched any news stories or other things about cell phone pictures and coordinates and ways to do that, that's something to look for. There's lots of information that you can hide in the properties of a picture. Completely invisible by looking at the picture, but on a computer, look at the picture properties. There you go. There's puzzles around here by Cashier Pictom. Great puzzles, very complicated, some of them. But of course, like any puzzle, if you can find out that piece you need, then it all becomes obvious. And explore connections between pieces of information you're given. You know your best friend when you're looking for information to solve a puzzle? It's not me. As much as I would like to be your friend, and I'm happy to be your friend, your best friend when solving puzzles is really Google.
Yeah.
Um, you know, get good at Google searches, including image searches. You can throw that image into Google and see what comes back, and Google Maps. I know somebody here locally in the Northwest found her first, what was it, 100 caches?
100, I believe. Yes.
She didn't own a GPSR. She did all of it. And I can't say they're all puzzles, but she did all of her original cache finds just by looking on Google Maps and saying, I know where that park is. I can go to that corner and figure it out from there. So yeah.
Very good. Well, we've got some Q&A that I want to jump into before we continue. By the way, Land Monkey is here this evening.
Is he now?
He says, well, he's in the Q&A. He climbed a tree today in -8 degrees, windy and snowing. Okay. Caching safely? Well, he cached often. We can say that.
I question his sanity, but okay.
Right. But he's a monkey.
That's true.
He goes, I'm sorry you can't join in. My hotel Wi-Fi is so bad that the live stream just keeps buffering. Otherwise, I had a great day at -8 C and snowing.
All I can say is better him than me.
That's right. Wow.
I've climbed trees. I have not climbed a tree at -8 C.
Lori Clark. Lori, I don't know your geocaching name. You're going to have to throw that in there. And she did do a double take when she saw a man in tree and thought it was her neighbor.
I think everybody in the Northwest thought it was their neighbor. That was one of the great tweets I saw.
I love it. 3Ham says there's a climbable tree in his yard. You want me to head up there now?
Yeah. In fact, if you could take a webcam and a Hangouts connection, we'll put you on the podcast live from the top of your tree.
There you go.
That's the 80 feet up in a sequoia, because apparently that's the theme of the week.
There you go. So let's get back to puzzles. How do we find numbers in puzzles? Now, keep in mind, there are a lot of different ways to find numbers other than counting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Basically, anything that can make a list is useful. We have letters, A, B, C, D, E. Those can work. I'm going to throw something out there. And if you haven't found a cache, maybe this will give you a hint. But the heights of runways at airports could be something.
That was a milestone cache for me.
Yes.
Just saying.
List of presidents.
Yeah.
List of elements.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Sports is even a good source thing. You've got a pitcher, catcher, first baseman, second baseman, third baseman.
Who's on first?
We don't know.
Okay.
Who?
Yes. What's the guy's name on second base?
I don't know.
Third base.
Oh. What's on second? Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know. Third base. Resistor color codes.
Oh, you're getting nerdy.
Yeah. Now, this is one I used to know just in my head, and since then I've forgotten. But resistor color codes, they have values, those lines of color, and you can find that on many web pages. And then, anything else that forms a list, like, I don't know, 12 days of Christmas.
Oh, 12 months of the year.
12 months of the year.
9 planet.
Is Pluto a planet?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm old, so when I was in grade school, my teacher told me Pluto was the 9th planet, and I believed her. And don't you tell me that Miss Sutcliffe was wrong. So, based on that, Pluto is a planet.
So, all sorts of different things that can be worked out as numbers. Right?
Right. Numbers are cool.
Mm-hmm.
Numbers are our friends. Most of the time, anyway.
Yeah, well.
I don't like all the numbers I see on my monthly bills, but that's a whole nother topic. That seems great. That seems simple and easy. Numbers. I like numbers. What about ciphers? Because some ciphers involve numbers, but frankly, I beat my head against the wall trying to solve some of these ciphers.
Yeah.
They can be tough. I mean, well, it's kind of what they're for. You know, it's kind of James Bond secret coding. They're just tough. Let's just put it right there. Let's leave it right there. Ciphers can be tough. They can be simple, but of course, they're usually only simple if you know how to solve them. And that kind of, well, never mind. There are tools online for solving ciphers. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
However, it's very rare, and if you know of a site, let me know, to find a place that you can just throw a cipher at a website and it'll just spit the results back at you, because most of the time you have to know just a little more than just here's the cipher. You have to know what the cipher is based on. So maybe there's a hint in the cache description or the web page or listing that indicates the type of cipher. You know, the hints on geocaching.com are, well, they use a cipher to hide it. You ever go to a web page and you see that hint down at the bottom there or halfway down before the logs that says click to decrypt? That's a cipher. That's a Rot 13 cipher. Letters in the alphabet are shifted by 13 characters. Could be a cryptogram or I don't know that word. Visionaire with various keywords. Start out, as we said earlier, with the easier, lower difficulty cipher puzzles, and then work your way up to the tough ones if you're solving cipher caches.
That's right. I used to have a good site. I've got to look for that up, and I'll put it in the show notes. We'll mention it next week if I can. A site that you could put the information into, and it would actually figure out what type of cipher it was and solve it for you.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me if before we're done tonight, somebody throws a couple of website suggestions in the Q&A. We've got some sharp people out there.
Yes, we do. So let's see. Lori says that Pic-Tom puzzles are the worst. I can't do puzzle caches very well, but Pic-Toms make me want to pull my hair out.
I can relate.
Oh, Die Monkey says, I spent last week in Oregon with my niece and nephews. We were looking at a geocaching map, and they said, what are all those question marks? I explained what they were and spent the rest of the week solving puzzles. Nice. B Pendragon says, I'm working on a puzzle cache. All I have to say is that Git repositories and wikis have a record of every change ever made.
Oh, there's a little tip. File that one away. That might help you solve a puzzle cache someday. Just saying.
Bryling says Pluto is a planet, but it's a dwarf planet and not a proper planet.
It's okay. Miss Sutcliffe said it was a planet, so I'm going with that, okay?
And size doesn't matter.
That's right.
Okay. G-Slink. And that one threw me off. G-Slink says, not used as a word, but not used often, but I think is cool, is PGP word.
Oh.
And he gives a link to that.
Very nice.
Oh, the Lori in the chat room is Mrs. Shmee.
Mrs. Smee, awesome. Welcome.
Mrs. Shmee. So now
is that Peter Pan related? Because, you know,
that's
Cook's cohort was Mr. Smee.
That's what I think of.
Okay.
So a short list of other things to look for.
Yes.
Okay. Besides ciphers, maybe creative use of music, either written or in audio files.
Yeah.
And don't forget video files or YouTube links as well. You know, those related web pages that are at the very top of the listing that you scan right over?
I overlook them far too often.
I do too. Even after I remember, oh yeah, that could be there. Where is that again? And I can't find it. Telephone keypad, you know, there's numbers and letters there.
That's true.
Now, a book cipher. You know, one of my favorite movies is National Treasure, and they use a book cipher. Actually, they're using the who is it? The Do Good letters.
Yep, Silence Do Good.
Silence Do Good as their book. So, anagrams.
Landshark. Oh, sorry.
Candygrams.
Oh, yeah, that's different.
ASCII code. You got decimal, binary, or hexadecimal.
It's the
Those are
American Standard Code for Information Interchange, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Creative representations of Morse code, Braille, or binary.
I've seen all of those in puzzle caches.
Yeah. Creative use of math, the digits of pi, prime numbers, the Fibonacci sequence.
Ah, Fibonacci, our old friend Fibonacci.
Really?
Yeah. And past triangle, too.
No, that's true. You know, try anything and everything. If it seems way out of whack, you know, it could play out.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least give you an idea to solve another puzzle or even create your own.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Now I have to admit, oh yes, we do have to mention Son of Adam's How to Puzzle Cache. And Son of Adam is his geocaching name. His real name is something else.
Not Adam.
No, not Adam. I thought I had it, and I don't have it right now. But I will come up with it very quickly, or one of you guys will help me out. And sorry about that. I'm still looking. I'm going to find it. I'm
soon, but you know, while you're looking for that,
thank you, Dora Moore.
What's that?
Long.
Oh, okay, there you go.
How to Puzzle Cache, an excellent book. It's one of those that you don't necessarily read through. You read a couple of the introduction chapters, and then each page is a type of puzzle cache, and it will help you solve it. And G Slink and Dan Camp both came up with Cully Long, and the correct answer is Cully Long. Thank you all. It's one of those that you need to have as a reference. It's a great book. If you can get it, you can get it on Amazon. That way you can print it out and have it in a spiral binding so it lays flat. So yeah, now you're thinking, right? Okay. So I myself I tend to overthink puzzle caches and make them far more difficult than they ever need to be. And once I get my mind going down this trail, I can never back up to an easier solution. It just doesn't work that way. But don't be afraid to hit up fellow cachers, you know, at some sort of monthly meet and greet that might be in the area.
You never know.
Or go ahead and ask the cache owner for hints. Now, you should only do this after you've put some work in. Okay?
Yeah, that kind of defeats the purpose, just to ask for a solution.
Right. You know, when I go and say, hey, I'm stuck on this cache, here's what I've already done. I think that's really helpful, especially with fellow cachers, but more over the cache owner. Hey, I've worked at this, and I've come at it from this angle, and I've come at it from this angle, and it's just not coming together. You know, is this right? And if they go, well, no, you're not even close.
Yeah.
You know, try, I don't know, some mathematician that starts with the letter F.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, that's it's one of the great things to do at events, is to sit around a table and chat with people and talk about puzzles. Because personally, I love puzzles. I'm not going to stand here and say I'm very good at them. In fact, a lot of puzzle types I suck, but I enjoy the fight and the process. And I so appreciate when you sit down at an event and talk over coffee with somebody, and they give you a nudge. I don't necessarily always want to have, well, I already solved it, here's the solution.
Right.
I want to enjoy that process on my own. So give me a nudge, point me in the right direction. Don't necessarily just give me the solution, although that's not a bad thing either. And you can email it to feedback@cachingnw.com, and we'll share that. Never mind. I didn't say that.
It's on the internet.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But yeah, so go out, and that's one of the great things about puzzles, is not only the mental challenge, but it gets people together. I can remember early in my caching days getting a whole group. It was an email thread at that point, solving a great puzzle cache. It was up in Federal Way. What the heck was that one?
My 367th day.
No, I don't think that was.
No.
That was a good one too, but I think it was different. Anyway, it was near the aquatic center, and we had a whole group go look for it. It was awesome. Um, but once you've come up with what you think is the possible solution, there are tools online to help you if the cache owner has chosen to take advantage of them. And if you're a cache owner or plan to be a cache hider of a puzzle cache, I plead that you use a coordinate checker. They're a great tool for somebody that has gone through the effort to come up with a solution, plug it into a table online, and look and see if they're correct or not. You know, there are the tools that I've seen out there often restrict the number of, well, I hesitate to call them guesses, but solutions that you've entered.
Attempts.
That's the word I'm looking for. And I respect that, because otherwise you could just brute force it and enter 1,000 possibilities until the right one comes up, and that's no fun. So you're limited to a few things. So if you're going to enter the coordinates, do yourself a favor first and, plug them into Google Maps or another program and see if you're even in the ballpark.
And randomize your IP address. Oh, wait, no.
That's a topic for another.
Oh, that's another. Okay.
But, if you're here in the Pacific Northwest and you plug in those coordinates and it puts you in Texas or Florida, as great as those places are to geocache, they're probably not the solution to a puzzle cache here in the Northwest.
If it puts you out in the Pacific Ocean, try again.
Yeah. So.
We've mentioned getting together with people. I just need to mention there is an upcoming pre-April Fool's gathering in just about a week.
Okay.
It's a puzzling pre-April Fool's gathering put on by our friend Rocket Glider.
Okay.
On the 31st. That's GC 6CA35. So
nice. So yeah, if you're in the area, go check that one out and make sure you're home by 9 p.m. Pacific, because that is a Thursday night. And there's something happening on a Thursday night at 9 p.m. around here.
That's true.
Can't remember what it is, but it's really cool.
Oh. Yeah.
Wait. Yeah.
Oh, Bryling says Texas and Florida are both poke it with a stick states.
Yeah. Look for the pile of rocks states. That's what somebody said down in the Arizona area.
Yes.
Oh, it's no fun down there. You just walk around until you see a pile of rocks and go, there it is.
Bryling also says the best way to get a smiley on a puzzle cache is to tag along with someone who's already solved it.
Yeah, that's not necessarily the spirit of solving the puzzle, but I have to say, guilty.
Been there, done that. Yeah.
I don't make it that a habit of every puzzle cache, but sometimes, yeah, I have done that. 3 M's in a row throws out geocachingtoolbox.com is always useful. So
yes,
that's a great set of tools to go check out if you haven't been there.
Dora Moore says, I have a great set of puzzle solving friends. If one of us can't solve it, usually the rest of us can. We brainstorm puzzles via email quite regularly. And, there's several Facebook groups that do the same thing. B Pendragon says, mathematicians that start with F. I wonder if anybody's done anything with a Fourier transform yet.
I don't know. Maybe that would be a good one to hide.
No,
we've just given away the solution. So what good is that?
Transformer, right? Oh, never mind. Hey,
yeah.
Can't do that one now.
My sister's a mathematician.
Yes.
Yeah. Her name doesn't start with F, though.
Oh. Is she any good at puzzle caches?
She's good at a lot of things, and I'm sure that she would be good at puzzle caches. I'll have to ask her. In fact, I have. Over the years, when I've thought a puzzle involved some math, my sister, who holds a master's degree in math and teaches math every day of her life, I've said, hey, what do you see in this? And, that's another little tip. You don't always have to involve fellow geocachers with puzzles. You can ask your friends, family, and other people, and who knows? They might just get hooked on geocaching.
That's right. I mean, I know people who solve puzzles all over the world just for the thrill of solving puzzles. They're never going to go find those caches.
Yeah.
But having those geocheckers means that they know they've solved it and they move on.
Yeah.
So put a geochecker in there, people.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's a start on learning to solve puzzles
And climbing trees.
and climbing trees. And both of them start with easy trees and easy puzzles
Yes.
and work your way up. Pretty soon you'll be man who solves puzzle
Oh, new hashtag.
or casher who solves puzzle. Yeah. New hashtag. Yeah, it probably won't trend the same. Man and tree almost broke Twitter.
It was pretty incredible to see how it surpassed every other thing out there in the local area.
That's wrong. So speaking of Twitter,
yes,
where could people find you if they wanted to look for Man with Mustache?
well, they could find me on Twitter, although Man with Mustache is not my Twitter handle.
Oh,
but it could be. Might be too many characters. I'll have to check that. However, if you were to go to Twitter and look for me, I am just, Wits End, plain and simple. I'm also Wits End on Facebook, geocaching.com, and many, many other places, social media platforms, all those things. Just go to your favorite web browser and hit witsend.us, and you can find links to just about all those places. And yourself, good sir, come down out of the tree and tell us where to find you.
Well, look for me up or down at cachingnw.com. That could be Facebook. That could be Google+. That could be Twitter. That could be in a tree at CachingNW.
It certainly could.
So with that, we want to say thank you for taking the time to listen to this here episode of Caching in the Northwest. Now, you can be part of the show. Call 253-693-TFTC. Leave us a comment. Ask a question. Send us puzzle solutions or pine cones any time of the day or night. Of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. Also, your support helps keep quality shows coming. So if you like this show, please click on the PayPal button at the cachingnw.com website. This show is licensed under Creative Commons Attributions 3.0 license, copyright 2016 by Chris Umfenauer. Thanks, folks.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
And there we go. Okay, so we've got more in the Q&A, but guys, I want to ask you a question.
Yes?
Do you think we should do a random or a cache or coffee type show on a regular basis? Or do you want us to stick more with topics? Go ahead. Go fill out your Q&A. We'll wait. Let's see. 3Ham says, my favorite puzzle is the chord shown in white font type.
Yeah, those are quick and simple and easy. Yeah. One of those ones that you just, when you scratch your head over and somebody shows you, oh, how did I miss that? Because I have.
I'm right there with you. Bryling says, when are you bringing back the night caching guy? Forgot his name. That's John Robb from Cache at Night.
Right.
To talk about how to hide a night cache in urban areas, especially where the parks are closed at night. I am in talks with John right now. Unfortunately, he is out of the country, but we're working on getting him in April. So he is coming up. It's in the works. We've just got to get a date that, he's, here.
We did kind of tease that we were bringing him back and then didn't.
Yeah. Well, he's done a lot of travel lately.
Yeah.
Which is good for him, not for us. Mrs. Shmee says, any tips on the Eagle has relanded? And no, that is one of those that taunt me.
Wow. About that, aren't you?
I have to find it now.
I'm not seeing it, but it'll come to me here.
G-Slink says random shows should be rare. In my opinion, love the topic shows. IHAM says maybe once a quarter, but stick mainly with topics. Okay. And B-Pen Dragon says maybe once in a while. So Brylang says, there we go. Topics are good. Love those. Also love the cache or coffee type where you don't have a single topic. Great for smaller topics. 3Ham says cache or coffee random is fun, but to have a topic to start things off and then let it run whatever tangent the show takes. Okay. Thanks, guys. That's the feedback I was looking for.
And I think I found the cache. It's GC3 Victor Delta Zulu 6. If that's the right one.
Find a geocache.
I have to say, I have not actually looked at this cache before.
GC3 Victor Delta Zulu 6.
Correct.
Yes, by Subman.
Subman, is that the right one?
Oh, guess what?
Hmm.
Guess what's happened this week? This week,
Man went in tree.
Man went in tree, and my geocaching premium went underground. This is a premium cache, and I cannot see it.
Oh, yes.
And
if you'd like to sponsor the Bad Cop, you can gift him a premium member subscription by going to geocaching.com and filling out the form for just that purpose. I have to say,
funny.
I am the beneficiary of said premium membership from a listener to the show, and I thoroughly appreciate that geocacher that supports me in my habit here.
Yes, I'm going to mention this for my ham, but I don't necessarily like it. He says, "Wait, doesn't the show wander off on tangents anyway?"
And moving back to the topic at hand here, I'll share
what you're talking about.
Share my screen for you here. Is that the correct cache there, Mr. Bad Cop, sir?
Yes.
Okay. There it is. GC3 Victor Delta Zulu 6 has a picture of a bird sitting in the tree. You know, it could be an 80-foot sequoia that bird is sitting on in downtown Seattle. We don't know.
That's right.
Current events this week could have something to do with the solution of this puzzle, although I highly doubt it.
Now, Subman, I think, has picked up the Pictom mantle and has done some excellent picture-based caches. And, you know, I've looked at this in many different ways. You can zoom in and look at the eagle, and there seems to be, you know, a pattern to some things. I don't know.
Yeah, well, this is not one I've looked at before, so I'm going to dig into it this week and see if I can.
So this is a great example of a picture puzzle cache. Okay, the cache description is only a picture, and there's a geochecker. That's it.
That's it.
Nothing else on the page to give you any hint.
There's a little magnifying glass here. It just makes the picture bigger. Mm-hmm. And as we were talking in the episode, if we right click here and say view page source, does it show you? No, it leaves you on that. There it is. Yeah. So this is the source code that we were talking about.
So do a quick search there for N47.
What is 47? There are 78 matches of 47.
N47? Try N. See if
no N47.
Okay.
There are 3 matches of N space 47 because those are all things that are showing in the description that you could see for the page. So
is it hidden in the photo's source code? G-Slink wants to know.
Oh, there you go. Could be.
So you'd have to right click, download the photo. That's how I do it. How do you do it?
View image info. Let's see what it says about the image info here in the browser. I have to share this with you now. Let me jump back to my ugly mug first.
Oh, hello.
Go to this one here. Here is the image info. So it could be something in here. I've never looked at this before, so I'm not saying that the solution's here. I'm just showing different ways to look at that. Here's the address, the size, the dimensions. These are all things from the page. Yeah. Don't know. I'm going to look at that one this week and see what we can figure out.
Okay.
Let me see. I'm going to save the picture locally to my desktop here. And then look at the properties of that.
IHAM says search on user supplied.
Oh.
Now, when you're looking in the source code of geocaching.com, there are so many different layers in there. You know, you've got all the different pieces of the web page. if you search on user supplied, that's the area that the CO can actually edit source code in.
Now, interestingly enough, I'm going to show you this here. Let me share this dialogue. I don't see any coordinates here. Well, screen share this. This is, where did it go? Oh, I don't see that option. I can't seem to share this dialog box with you here. But there's when I right-clicked on the image after I saved it to my local computer here and said properties, here's the properties I can tell you about this picture. I can tell you that it's 900 by 600 pixels. I can tell you that it was shot with a Nikon D70S on May 2nd, 2008 at 5:16 p.m. with an exposure time of 1/1600th per second at an aperture value of f5 with an ISO of 200. The flash on the camera did not fire when this photo was taken, and he was using pattern type metering mode with a 300 millimeter focal length lens. It's also edited with an Adobe Photoshop CS3 on a Macintosh, and the description tags in the image were Bald Eagle, Point Defiance, and Tacoma. So that's kind of what we were talking about in the episode. It's amazing how much data is in the file that you never see with the naked eye without opening in a computer and examining it. I don't know that any of those pieces of data help you solve the puzzle, but it is fascinating what's in there.
It is. It truly is. B Pendragon says, I blame ASP.NET. It creates way more layers than necessary at times.
Yeah.
And it considering they're hiring ASP.NET devs, I feel blame is warranted. So it creates, and when you look at it, there are pages and pages and pages of source code with, you go down to user supplied, and that's the only area that, like I say, as the CO, you're allowed to edit on the page. Three Hams gives something here, and if you don't want to know anything more, you should stop now.
It's a really cool topic, though.
And I don't know if I knew about. I understand the concept. I don't think I knew the name before. So, spoiler alert: from this point on, we're going to talk about something. If you're interested in this cache, stop, and you want to solve it on your own. Okay? You've been warned. Okay. How would you say that?
I'd say it's steganography.
Steganography, yeah.
You said however you like.
It's code hidden within the JPEG. There's a website for this. And I've been searching. I haven't seen the website yet. Maybe a detection. Here's it. Yeah. I understand the concept of it. Like I said, I didn't know the name. But this is something you'd see on CSI.
It's also something that photographers use to hide a copyright or watermark in an image without spoiling the view of the image.
There you go.
So it can be used for more than just geocaching. I know that's hard to believe, but there are other uses for these tools.
So that would be one reason why I never have come across this.
Apparently, the art of using steganography is called steganalysis.
Ooh.
As opposed to steak and eggs, which now I'm just hungry.
It's not how you say it. Actually, it kind of is. I'm still looking for an online site that I could, upload this picture, get the...
Yeah, I'm finding downloadable tools from SourceForge and other nice places, but I'm not seeing a quick website. If you know of a website that you can upload a JPEG to and see all of its steganography data, send it to feedback@cachingnw.com or throw it in the Q&A right now.
There's no universal algorithm to detect stenography. You can implement a series of tests against every known type of stenographic system in existence, but an attacker, I'm reading, can use that as a test and develop a new form to bypass existing tests.
Oh, there you go. There's one from G-Slink. Knew we could count on our Q&A.
Future boy. Stenography relies on the latent noise to signal ratio of the analog source material. The least significant bits, the actual bits depend on the codec, are overwritten by an encrypted stream of secondary stego bits that are primary to the. That's fascinating.
So I threw that image that downloaded from that cache page at the website that G-Slink said, and it just said, this file may not contain steganographic data, or you may have specified an incorrect password. So you check guess the payload. No. That doesn't mean that it's not something hidden using steganography in this image, but I'll need to try more before I figure it out.
Bryling says there are many types of steganography, but they're not compatible and no two methods work the same. And like he also adds imageops.com, imgops.com.
I'm doing that one now. No results at this point, but there's a ton of links here with different ways to test this image. So it's more than I'm probably going to come up with a solution
tonight.
But there's some great tools here, and I thank you for contributing those. That's ImageOps this looks like a really great option. And I have to say, there's a link here that called Mustacheify.
Oh,
the hover tip says instantly add a mustache to a photo using facial recognition. And really, how can you not love that? Everybody loves das Schnurrbart, right?
Wow. This is cool. Okay, I'm having too much fun. ImageOps is not necessarily stenography.
No. But it looks a really cool site.
3am says, if that cache is stenographic, sign me into the logbook, will you?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Sure.
So he doesn't know. He just threw that out there. And here's the rabbit trail we followed for the last half hour.
Yeah, well, you know.
Thanks, 3hams.
Yeah.
In case we're not tangential enough as it is.
Yeah.
Oh, Mrs. Smee says, my daughter tried to place a cache off of a trail that leads down to a beach in Point Defiance by the mountaineerer tree. We were at the bottom of the beach, and she was told it was too close. The eagle has relanded.
Well, there you go. Apparently, we just need to stick. Who is it? Was it Frisbeer? Somebody went. A local cacher said if you give somebody,
oh yeah,
like a 500 square foot area, I think Frisbeer, he will find the cache.
Yeah, so, he will just search everywhere.
Brute force every option, and yeah. So you might contact Frisbeer and ask him to look in the general area of where you wanted to hide that cache. And he may come up. Of course, he's probably already found it. So
yeah, exactly.
He's only got about.
It's one thing. Yes, I agree that you can brute force it.
Yeah,
but that's kind of a last resort.
It's not the spirit of the puzzle either. I like the challenge of solving the puzzle the way it was intended to be solved.
Now, I have been working on a puzzle. Bryling again.
Yeah.
Stenography often requires a password of some sort to decrypt the encoded message as well. In this case, I try the different words in the title.
Yeah, or keywords on the page, or as I said, there were keywords embedded in the JPEG in the EXIF data, so that's always interesting. And by the way, 3hams, if we do sign your name to this, I can't sign your name to the log. However, I could embed your handle into a JPEG file using steganography, print it out, and place that in the cache. So,
or we could upload that to our log.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. Wow, that's really nice of you.
You think? I'm not sure 3hams would agree with you, but you know, you never know.
So this is, like I said, I knew exactly what cache that was. This is one I have worked on before and come up with nothing. So this is a whole new path to take me down. What's the GC again for that puzzle?
It is, and I'm looking for it here. GC3 Victor Delta Zulu 6.
Three Hams is actually going to go look now. He threw that out there so quickly and with such confidence that we just took it and ran with it.
Well, that's steganography is actually a topic that I have looked at in the past and thought it was just a really, really cool thing. I've looked at it with the idea of copyrights and watermarks, not necessarily geocaching, as odd as that sounds, because most things that I see, I think, how could I relate this to geocaching?
Exactly.
But
well, guys, thank you so much for staying on. We're going to end the podcast now.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week. More than likely, with a monkey, he should be released from police custody at that time.
Very probable.
And we're just going to leave it at that. That will get him a lot of emails and questions, we hope.
You're mean.
Yeah, I know. Folks, thanks again. See you next week. And until then, get out and get caching in the Northwest.